Common values, common goals, common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
Wow, guys, I am so sorry. I'm not late. I've been here, but technological difficulties. Oh my goodness. You got to put yourself in my shoes. I'm sitting here working with the equipment, little camera issues and focus, but you know what? By the good graces and on National Prayer Day, we're here, and all of you guys are here. Those of you who are tuning in, who are online, who are on Rumble, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, thank you all so very much. And I appreciate your patience, you guys. I had to reboot the system a couple times, but we're here. And thank you so very much. Oh my goodness. Well, again, happy National Day of Prayer to you guys. It's a good time to reflect, regardless of your faith. And or, again, as we say, Article 1, Section 11 of the Washington State Constitution, in all things religious, you know, we have a freedom of consciousness. We often talk about that. And so be you. Worship as you choose or not. That's your constitutional right. And we talk about that. And some people get crazy with it, but there's no need to. This is America. And in America, we have that beautiful freedom to choose. Oh my goodness, imagine that. A choice, freedom, independence, liberty, opportunity. Isn't this a great country? Well, welcome to Common Sense with Semi Bird, candidate for Washington State Governor. I'm not sure if we have folks new tuning in. I think there's a good likelihood that we do. We keep it real. We keep it low key. It's easy going. You know, I'm the first candidate ever for Washington State Governor to have a podcast. And the reason is, and many of you have heard this before, it's so I can keep that contact with you, so I can answer your questions. Some of you sent questions in ahead of time, haven't looked through them. I have a question from last week that I promised to get back with someone on, and then we have questions on here in the comments. And so here's what I'm going to do. We are so low-key, I'm literally going to pop a lozenge in my mouth. I'm going to look to the left and say hi to everyone, and we're going to move forward. I'm excited to hang out with you guys today. Thank you. Wow, what a week. And what a day for me. And so I'm going to scroll up and say hi to everyone that's logged on. I see a lot of friends here. And we have a question already. And this is from Patricia. So I'm going to jump into Patricia's question, and so I don't forget it and I don't lose it, because a lot of people are going to log in. Patricia says, Simi, what would you do to end the perverse school curriculum that indoctrinates our children into confusion, sexual identity, you know, drag seminars or shows, trans force teachings? So we have law right now, and the law recently passed was LGBTQAI plus curriculum, history, to teach that history. And so what I say to that is simply this, Patricia: it's we the people speaking up, getting engaged, going to those school board meetings, talking to your representatives and your senators, thinking about who you're going to vote for these offices, and self-governing, being engaged, being active in your state, and ensuring that you're holding these people accountable, because we are the power of the state. Again, Article 1, Section 1, power is inherent in the people. It comes directly from the Declaration of Independence. And I'm not giving you probably the answer you want to, but as governor, it's important for you guys to understand, under Article 3, I'm bound by law and the Constitution. And whether I agree or I don't agree with the law, it's we, the people, who have to put the pressure on those legislators to say, we're not happy with this. And this sausage-making factory that you guys have in Olympia, where in a short session of 60 days, you put forth 364 or 84 bills while we're working every day, because we don't have time to sit there and Google search and log in and say, okay, what kind of stuff are they putting out there today? It's getting active. So, Patricia, we have to get active. We have to say enough's enough. We have a school system that is academically failing our kids, but yet we have time to shift focus on this. And this is not us saying, because we want to focus on English, language, arts, mathematics, and science, where we are academically performing below the failure rate when you average those out. But yet we're graduating our kids at an 83% rate, and we're paying, what, $18,000, almost $19,000 per child for that? How do we have time to teach all these other things when we can't even teach the fundamentals of traditional education? And then our teachers, let's pause for a second. This isn't teachers good, teachers bad. No, it's literally, if you have a classroom and you have those students in the classroom and you're bringing all of this stuff, forcing all this stuff down on teachers, what are they to do? And then we have a behavioral issue where teachers are getting stuff thrown at them, disrespected, assaulted in many cases. My friends, things are off the hook. So Patricia, to give you some level of comfort, here's what I will say. I am writing an education reform bill. And so by the time I show up, January of 2025, that bill will be in my hand. I will send it out to all the citizens of Washington State so that you guys can read it. You'll know what I'm going to be proposing to the legislature before I give it to them, because I want your approval on it. And I'm going to have a feedback period. How's that for a change in governance, where the governor, who has the right under Article 3, can propose legislation, actually does propose legislation, and then sends it out to the people who he or she, in my case he, and I know the difference, serves, and says, what do you think? And then now you've read it, now you know what's going on, you know what to expect, and I'm going to be keeping this up. Yes, I will have a podcast as governor of Washington State. We're going to keep this up so I can engage with you, get your feedback, and then we let the legislature know what you feel about this before it even goes to them. I can guarantee you this. When you have parents that are putting their kids in public education and public education is failing to respect those parents' request and that quality education, I promise you this, they're going to be on board with this. So this is how we're going to do that. Thank you for your question, Patricia. Glenn, good seeing you. All my friends there, it's good seeing you guys. We've got the flock in the house. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to glance down here. I see family and friends here. I love this. I love the love. I think you guys are saying some stuff, so you guys do your thing there. You guys are talking about the 17th Amendment. Oh, my goodness. I love that. People were asking me about that. Oh, gosh. I don't want to say her name. MSNBC had a thing. We made national news with the convention that we had, 18th to the 23rd. We made history with the convention we had, 18th to the 23rd, and on a couple points. And I'll leave it up to you guys to ask. I don't want to keep bragging about it. Not me bragging about me, but bragging about you. Y'all did the work. I showed up. Oh, that's right. You showed up too. We showed up. Imagine that. Showing up to do the work, to save our nation, to save our state, and to usher in a new era. That's right. That's what we did together. Nothing chaotic about that, but everything patriotic about that. Let's see. The state party endorsed. Okay. But Rob, yeah. We the people matter. Darn right we do. It's a declaration. It's a constitution. Article 1, Section 1. I'm just scrolling. We're good. We're just getting started up. I'll make up for the time. Don't worry. Don't worry, you guys. Let's see what we got going on here. Someone said, embarrassing, not all the counties. We'll talk about that. Ask a question. Make a clear statement. I want to know what you guys are talking about. Good seeing you. Gina from Kitsap. Constitutional patriot extraordinaire. Carolyn, loving heart. Yes, it is. We talked about that. Man, you guys, so many. You guys are logging in. Taylin, good seeing you. My sister, Taylin, walk away, Democrat. That's right. Folks, we're getting people, you want to talk about crossover votes and that kind of stuff. And, we'll talk about the crossover vote, and we'll speak very plainly. When you talk about crossing over, you better make sure you have a candidate that is inspirational enough to get someone to cross over a sitting Democrat conservative senator, to cross over that person who I like, to vote for the same thing, essentially a moderate Republican that's right there, pretty much the same thing, except one of them has been a small business owner, very engaged in the community, actually understands small business. Not just, you need to make sure you have a candidate that can bring in, that can inspire that kind of crossover, because you're not going to get anybody crossing anything. You may want to keep that in mind. Let's see what we have going on here. Okay. All right, I'm gonna bounce down. No, absolutely, Patricia, you're very welcome. And let's see, how can we put the kibosh to the Growth Management Act of the 1990s, Rebecca? Well, it is an act and it's a law, and so you go through legislation, and that's how that's done. But the Growth Management Act is not meeting up to its intent, where you have a proactive intent, right? Where you're managing the growth of the state. But when you look at the congestion in our transportation system, the failure of the ferry system, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, because I started talking about the ferry system over a year ago. You all know that, who's been following me for a while. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk about the ferry system because, again, the top two anointed ones from the establishment, one says it, the other one responds, and they have their little thing, but we've been talking about it for a long time. Yeah, where is our comprehensive transportation plan? Where has that been? Who is literally talking about the fact that our budget doesn't meet the needs, but yet our gas tax from the past, not this climate commitment nonsense, but the original gas taxes that we've been putting out there for a long time in this tax and spend administration, because it's ran by career politicians and not career professionals who actually know how to manage, who actually know how to budget, who actually know performance, organizational performance, efficiencies, paradigms, and doctrine. Again, resume matters, so you want more of the same. Keep leaning towards those politicians, and you'll see what you're going to get. But no, Rebecca, you have a Growth Management Act that's not managing the growth of the state. And in fact, you talk about cost of housing, cost of living in Washington State that's out of control, where young people cannot afford to buy a house here. Average cost in the Puget Sound side, we talked about the $635,000 or more. You can't afford to live there. You can't afford to buy a house unless mom or dad are rich and they give it to you, or they will it to you, or something. Or somehow you're just one of those fortunate ones or brilliant ones, and you just command that kind of salary, but everyone else can't afford it. Growth management, we don't have enough housing units on the market. We don't have enough housing units on the market. But yet we keep bringing in all these regulations to make building houses more costly, which passes on to the consumer, which raises the cost of housing. I can go on. We're going to get to questions. And I do want to share with you what's been happening on my side. And my side is on both sides of the mountains. And I just got back. A lot of times I wish my wife's like right here. I can say, honey, but I know she's here. I just got back, I think yesterday, from the west side. Spending several days over there. We had some good visits over there, and I'll tell you guys about it. But I just want to come over here, hang out with you guys a little bit. Don Cornelius, again, love your name, brother. Appreciate that. Michael, it's good seeing you. I think this is my Clark County brother. Man, I get the love from Clark County all over, but wow. Let's see here we got going on here. You guys are just amazing. I'm trying to catch up. I don't think I can catch up because you guys are just popping off, and you're getting, I say it in the good way, and you're getting engaged. And gosh, we talk about the convention, I think. Aha, question. See, Gina's got it. You just lead all caps question, and boom, I zero in. So there's a hint for everyone. What is your take on students who feel others should pay for their school loan? So here's the deal. That act, and I think it was the HEROES Act that we're talking about. If I'm off, it's okay, but you get the gist. You know what I'm talking about. But I think it is. I'm pretty sure I'm right. That HEROES Act was intended for veterans, right? That was intended for veterans. So now that we're going to manipulate that act to do debt forgiveness for students who are not veterans, well, it's an affront to veterans. Do we have that much more money, taxpayers, that we can literally just forgive the debt of all students? Look at what's happening out there on the college campuses. Are you ready to forgive that debt? Are they in classes learning? Is that what you're seeing on TV? And again, keep in mind, I'm no one's puppet. I don't, whether it's this new media station or that media station, I go out and I educate myself, and there's multiple platforms, and I cross-reference for myself. But no, my opinion is no, absolutely not. You take on the loan, you pay the loan back. That's how it works. You knew that. You signed the paperwork. You know what you're getting yourself into. So, no, we will not. There's this notion of supplementing and continuing to tax citizens who are producers, who go to work every day trying to make a better life for themselves and for their families, and government continues to tax them, sometimes to death, tax seniors out of their homes. Does that seem fair to anyone? It's not. And I know there's progressives who will say, well, no, pay your fair share. So here's what we want you to do. Work your fanny off. Work hard. Invent stuff. Do something really ingenious. Make a lot of money, or just work really, really hard and create wealth. And then we want you to give it back to everyone. Wrong country. Sorry, wrong country. This is America. This is America. Everyone works hard. Everyone has an opportunity. That's the way it's supposed to work. And we're going to talk about that too. So Gina, great question. I don't support it. Barab says, Lars Larson was criticizing your misdemeanor. Yeah, so let Lars Larson criticize my misdemeanor. Bless his heart. Lars Larson and everyone else who wants to criticize my misdemeanor, I'm gonna answer that. Well, you know what? Let me just answer that, because I'm not sure I'm going to catch up on the comments. I tried, you guys, and I'll scroll down. I'll keep trying. People say, well, Semi, move on. You got to talk about policy. Well, we're talking about policy, but I don't run away from a good question. And this is a juicy one that seems to plague people's minds or even their common sense. And someone like this, who I think is a very intelligent man, I've always liked Lars Larson. I was on his show several times, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, everything changed. Semi bad, or maybe not. I don't know. Lars, all the rest of you guys. I mean, you seem to be transfixed on a misdemeanor from 31 years ago. Guilty, yes. Wrong, yes. My friends, if you haven't tuned in, let me tell you, I used my dad's credit to get a credit line of approximately $1,800. I made payments on it. And then I fell behind on my payments. Again, wrong on my part, irresponsible on my part. And then when I went to charge off, things didn't add up, and I was rightfully held accountable. Rightfully held accountable. But the reason it went up so high is because they thought that, well, this gentleman's in law enforcement and he betrayed his oath. And no, I did this before. Still not an excuse. And for the challenged individuals say, well, he stole from his father. And that came from Dave Reichert in an interview. So I'm not calling Dave any names at all. I'm the one who doesn't call names, and I hope, boy, it's English. People understand. I'm not talking about our supporters, but anyone. I don't call names. At least I try not to. Hold me accountable if I do, but I don't think I do. It is a crime, yes. But if I kept the money, if I wasn't making payments and didn't pay it off, it would be theft. You take it and you keep it. And yes, I used my father's credit and it was wrong. And I said, why? No excuse. Bitterness in here. But here's the beauty of that. My father forgave me. Absolutely, he did. My father found Christ. My father changed. He was no longer an alcoholic. Certainly wasn't abusive. I was a grown man. But in the 2000s, my goodness, my dad came back into my life. I got that call and he came to visit. And everything was wonderful after that. He's attended my daughter's baptism. And I'll have to put the pictures up and show that. And by the way, a little known fact, I was the executor of my dad's will. Oh, that's how that worked out, huh? Out of all of us kids. And I have amazing siblings. And my sister's a beautiful person. And my little brother, a good man. We did this together. But yeah, so we want to go back 31 years, Lars Larson, and your questions, Barab, yeah, no, he's criticizing. Let him criticize. We could talk about this, you guys, and we've talked about it over and over again, and I'm not worried about me. I'm good. This whole thing, if a person makes a mistake, how long do you hold it over their head for? Is that what society is now, where I met with a lady in my trip over, a friend that I met a year and a half, almost 2 years ago at a Christian formal gala. And I told you the story probably a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. This beautiful young lady, beautiful gown, and we were talking with other people, and she approached me and she told me her story that she was a methamphetamine, heroin addict, shooting up in the streets, lost her child. She was a felon. She spent time. I mean, but here I'm looking at this beautiful person. Amazing. And in her heart, as they've gotten to know her, we just had lunch a few days ago. An amazing, beautiful human being. And what are you guys going to do? What is the Lars Larsons of the world and all these conservative talk show hosts and judgers of earth? Judgers, because the last time I thought was judgment. All you perfect people who choose to judge. I'm spending too much time on this. But do you brand us? Do you put a thing on the side of our face and you brand us for the rest of our life so everyone recognizes us when we walk down the street? Is that what you guys want? I know not the folks here maybe, but is that what we are as a society? Because when I met with this beautiful person the other day for lunch, I mean, she knows, and maybe she'll come on, or maybe she'll talk about it in the future at my events. But once again, I broke down in tears sitting there for her because she was telling me how they still bring this up her record when she's trying to get a job or something. And she's such an amazing person. And so, oh my goodness. Yeah. So let him talk. And then I met with, in my adventure last week in Seattle, one of the largest black media companies in Washington State. And one of the things he brought up was that misdemeanor, but a little bit different context than the conservatives do. And this gentleman is I'm going to say on the left, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think it's pretty obvious. It should come out today or tomorrow, and I'm not going to comment one way or another. I think it was a very fair and balanced professional interview. But I would make an assumption. You'll all make your own. I would say he's on that left. And he says, do they not understand people from certain communities and the adversity that we go through that you trying to find? I'm just saying, you guys. So why is that those people in certain communities understand this, and so many hundreds of thousands of people out there who don't live in glass houses and who are not perfect? We're on 60 seconds. And maybe it'll come up again later in this podcast. But I find it so, oh my goodness. But this is good. I talk about it for a reason, because for me, I'm not worried about it. I'm secure in who I am. I'm thankful. I'm proud of who I am. I talked to my middle daughter today for well over an hour. And I told her, if you ever come on my show, 'cause she watches, and I'm sure she's up here under a nom de guerre or an alias. I said, baby, you better not come in here and put your real name. And I don't want to know what your alias is, because if I see you on here and I know who you are, I will bawl like a baby. Same with my older one. I talked to her. She sent me a text right before coming down to do the show. But I love my babies. So again, I'm not ashamed of who I am, you guys. I'm not going to let someone have ownership of me. I don't live on that plantation. No, I do not. I've had a top secret SEI clearance since the 2000s? And you think I'm going to let some talk show host talk bad about me or anybody? I've had a top secret SAI clearance where the FBI agents go to my house, my neighbors, my teachers, my friends growing up, and they ask crucial questions. They look at my credit and everything else. And if I was a threat to national security, you think I would have got a top secret SEI clearance? Or then later, after leaving active duty in the military, after fighting for my country in combat, almost dying for my country in combat, then working for the United States Department of Energy as a federal employee, then later a federal officer with the National Nuclear Security Administration with a badge. Oh yeah, the whole thing, you guys. Little badge thing and an ID. With a Q SCI clearance. You think they give that to someone just, national security, schmational security. Can we use some common sense in here maybe? That's all good. All right. We're going to roll down. Am I sounding like one of those podcast people? There's no one in the studio but me, so I got to keep it real. I got to keep it exciting. I hope you guys are getting what I'm picking up, what I'm putting down. Small Business Week, Jason, yes, it is. And I'll tell you what, when you look for your elected officials, you should look for someone who has a small business ownership background so that they understand what it's like to pay quarterly, so they understand what it's like to feel that sting of high employment payroll taxes, or L&I, labor and industry fees. Because if you have a construction company, you feel that, or any other company, we all pay L&I fees for our employees, right? And so whether they're a trim carpenter or they're a framer, whether they're working on a roof, or you're paying a fee based on category of employee. If you don't own a small business, you really don't feel that sting, and you don't know. So you don't have that passion and that empathy for small business owners. And if you don't know the statistics that 50.7% of all people who work in this state work for small business owners. Small business owners are the backbone of our economy of Washington State. So we must protect them. We must lift them up. We must energize, and we must lower their regulations and ease up on those taxes so that they can thrive. And when they thrive, they hire more people and they pay more money. We don't need to make mandatory minimum wages. We don't need to, because that hurts everyone. It's a net loss, not only for the employees as citizens, but the entire economy. It's bad for business. It's bad for citizens. It's bad for our economy. And feel free to ask me to drill in. But guys, I'm going to encourage you to, again, put question on here, because I'm just not going to really see your question. Let's see, is Lars Larson Eastern Washington on that Christian radio network? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've been on Lars's show. I heard that he was talking smack about me, but that's okay. Like I said, I liked the guy. He seemed nice to me. You guys get it. It's a thing. I'm not the candidate that was signed off by the establishment, and there's a lot of money behind this, you guys. You see it. I'm not the guy that comes out with bling, right? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. I'm not that guy. So it is what it is. And so it doesn't matter. I have nothing against the man. I'm not against anyone, really. I'm for everyone. That's how I like to roll. So yeah. Saw the zebras. Man, you guys went crazy. What is, I'm a behavioral scientist, so I get it. Fixation. It's the new deal. Zebra mania. I love it. We got it. What else going on? Yep. Not worried about Jamie Buettner. I'm in my lane. I stay in my lane. That's how I do. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. We have anything new? Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to bounce off here unless I see question. Okay. If I miss anybody. Oh, and we do. I saw my friend from Island County here. And so I did have a question from Island County, and the question came from a Richard McQuarrie. And Richard McQuarrie from Island County asked, for me, Semi Bird, tell us why you donated to Act Blue, which is the Democrats. And so for Richard McQuarrie, and I think his little media friend, Sue Lanny or whatever, jumped onto this. Well, I'm going to have to check into the PDC. Oh. And so, yeah, that was my dead cousin. Have a nice day, and hope you feel good about yourself. If you look at the little meme that you all popped up, and I think little Miss Lynette from Clark County, she did the same thing. You go to the FEC, and I think it's got all the if you donate. Missy Potty, S is for Semi. W is for Willie, my cousin. May he rest in peace. He passed away last July, I believe. So if you look at just Google it, right? He's with God now, because he was a godly man and a good man. He was a Democrat, and he was the one who donated. And it said it right there. If you really cared about the truth, you would have seen it. But he does not, and the folks he represents do not. And they're more concerned with character assassination, and that's fine. You just show yourself for who you are. And then they went on to talk about semi-taught DEI. And again, the half-truths and the little games that they play. Think about this, you guys. These are the same people who champion their candidate, Dave Reichert, and they say, well, he's going to get the crossover vote. He's going to get Democrats and independents. And I lectured on diversity and inclusion. So let me just, again, if you want these true confessions, I've said this over and over again, but this is good for those of you who are new. diversity. That's not owned by progressives. Look it up in a dictionary. It means, women, men, brown, white, all colors, all races, all religions. That's diversity in cultures. Cultures. That's right. So it said diversity and inclusion, generations, different ages, cultures, I explained it, and perspectives. That was the lecture that I did. Conveniently or not, the whole E is for equity was missing in that whole description. Why? Because I've never taught that. But it's convenient to leave it out, and then you brand it DEI for a lie. Times 2, Richard. So this is the games that they play. But there's good people in Island County, and I appreciate their endorsement, and I appreciate amazing people like Tracy, who's here. She is awesome. She's a warrior fighting for truth. And I do appreciate her and many others. Tim out there, Tim Hazel. Thank you, Tim. Chairman of that party. A wonderful man and his lovely, lovely bride of friends. So we're going to move to questions over here. I'm excited to see what it looks like here. And I think he had some more questions that I can bring up, but it's more of the same, more of the character assassination. And there'll be more coming out in that, by the way. Some juicy news coming out. Let's see what we got going on here, guys. So this is from Marco. What would your response be to protesters blocking roads and freeways illegally? Immediate arrest. Marco, immediate arrest. Boy, did I answer that too quick? I don't know. Freedom, First Amendment, right? And then I think for Washington State, Fourth Amendment. Everyone has a freedom to freedom of speech, freedom to demonstrate legally. But when you block traffic, that is against the law. You're impeding the flow of traffic. So you're impeding traffic, which again is a violation of law. You're interfering with public safety because if you have emergency vehicles there, you just don't know. And we lost someone. Again, one of the Black Lives Matter protesters from years ago, not too many years ago, sued the city or King County and won millions of dollars because someone came up an on-ramp and hit someone because they were protesting on the highway because they did not know that the highway was shut down. Because why? Because they were afraid to actually execute their duties and enforce the law and remove those people from the highway. So they were out there and that person did not see them. It is a danger. It is a public safety danger, and it is a menace to public welfare and in general. So immediate arrest. We're not playing these games under my administration. I hope I am very clear on that. And let me say something else very clear. If you put hands on a law enforcement officer, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. A felony. Resisting arrest, felony, full intent. You put hands and you assault a police officer executing his or her duties lawfully? No, that's not going to happen. And I will say, just for those who are out there also, if a law enforcement officer betrays their oath and abuses their authority and violates the rights of citizens, the civil rights of citizens, well, then they're going to find themselves in trouble as well. Again, we're going to enforce our laws, but we're not going to ever compromise the rights of citizens. Remember, the Constitution is there to protect the rights of citizens. But Marco, to answer your question, no, we're not doing that. And this nonsense on our campuses, we're seeing what's going on with that. No to anti-Semitism. It's hate. No to any other racial prejudice, any other kinds of hate. No to that as well. We're not doing that. Whether you try to hide it or not, what you're implicit or explicit or unconscious, we see right through it. And there will be no place in Washington State for your hate anymore. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or a Martian, I don't care. This is not the state of hate. So no more. I don't have a tolerance for that. I think it ruins who we are. What do you guys think? Are we going to tolerate hate in our state? Do we tolerate that where students can't go to school because they're afraid for their well-being? Is that right at all? When they're there to go to school and they don't feel safe because people are protesting and spewing hate to their elimination? No. and whether it's anti-Semitism or anti any race. No, it's not happening. Sinkelbolt. Oh my goodness, that is a name. And I know I butchered that. I apologize. Can you give us I didn't get. Last week, there was a young lady who had a question about, caged, right? And it's basically cage-free eggs. It's a law in Washington State. I think it went into effect. I'm going to go back to you, Sync. Cage-free eggs. And I promised it was going to be the first. And I didn't do it, but I'm still with you. So I'm honoring my word. I just didn't make it first. My apologies. Cage-free eggs is a law in Washington State. I think it went into effect 2019. And cage-free eggs, my research on it, it is a bill, it is a law now, and there's mixed feelings on this. So cage-free eggs, you think it's more beneficial. The studies on it show that it's more healthier. Well, certainly for the hens, right? Healthier, happier. But on the other side of that, there is, as I would say, a pecking order, no pun intended or pun intended, where there's a vulnerability for those hens because of hen violence happens. So there's pros and cons. One of the cons is the cost of eggs goes up, and it has gone up. So there's a con. And the other thing is it requires more labor. It requires more resources. It requires more. So the cost of labor goes up. The cost of resources goes up. So what we call the net cost, right, or cost of goods sold from a microeconomics vernacular goes up, which increases the cost of goods. And that's the downside to that. And so for me, it is a law. And as we always say, it is the law. We have to enforce it. But I wanted you to know that I did research it. I'm still looking into this. I get it. I get it, but I want to read more research. So when I research something, I read empirical studies, which is literally research papers on it, and I actually did. And there's more than one. So I got the economics aspect of it, but I also got the health of the egg, the health of the chicken, because they're free, they can spread, they're healthier per se. So there's more to it. I know I'm not checked out yet. So I do want to read pro and con, but I wanted to let you know that I did. And I actually went as far as to look at the research on it, but I'm not done because this is huge. We all eat eggs. Well, most of us do. I know I do. And this goes to cost of living in Washington State. So I'm with you. I'm going to continue to research. So Singlebolt says, can you give us your opinion on forcing the reintroduction of grizzlies, increasing the wolf production? Yeah, I've spoken to this against the opinion of ranchers, and what would you be able to do as governor? So that was a federal decision on the reintroduction. And by the way, that's just now happening. Again, I keep seeing it. You think, well, it's happening. Well, then it's not. Then it's happening. Well, it is happening now, like within the last 24 hours in the Northern Cascades, grizzlies. So that's happening, in my opinion, and that it shouldn't. It's predators. I get it. This is a matter of preservation versus conservation. I've spoken to that, and I actually did a video when I met with the hatchery, with the tribes. Amazing man, Sean, someone I consider a friend. Brilliant man. And so many of you know I subscribe to the North American model of wildlife conservation. I think it's natural. I think our hunters and our anglers are natural stewards of our lands and of our waters, and I believe that. Well, I don't even have to believe it; it's science, and it's been proven. So much so that even Europe is adopting the models. And what that means is simply this: predators and prey, in terms of conservation and natural conservation. But we've messed up natural conservation, and that's that model when we start building houses and buildings, etc. So that's why we had the spring bear hunt. But the state, these commissioners pulled that back, even though within, right, WDFW, even though their staff even said, no, it's okay. We can have the spring bear hunt. We can. But the commissioner said, no, I'm against that. I'm for the spring bear hunt. And I will make sure it gets reintroduced, which because the governor appoints those commissioners. I'm going to bring back that balance. So for you hunters and anglers, know that. I will make sure I bring back the balance so that those commissioners understand that Washington State must value the North American model and that our hunters and our anglers are those natural stewards. And so the same thing with wolves. So the recent studies on wolves, and I read these things. I'm a geek nerd, so fellowship and then research every day. Wolves, which were once endangered, and so the preservationists will say, well, no, they still are, but not according to the research in Washington state. They are now at the point where they're now sustaining reproductively, so they're no longer endangered whatsoever. But yet, because of that, they are now a threat to cattle, and then the prey being deer and elk, but also to cattle, those ranchers. We have to look at that. And the grizzlies, ranchers. And if you look at Okanagan County and all those counties, and we go over to Colville and all these other places in northeastern Washington, which have had issues with wolves as well, and bears. So I'm tracking that. And to answer your question directly, Sink, yeah, no, I'm with you. So I'm going to take action on that. And hopefully I'm being very clear and direct with you. What are your thoughts on water rights? Yeah, I'm not, a former representative challenged me in this. Well, gosh, again, he's not for me, he's for the other man. I used to say something else, but yeah, the weaponization of ecology and the manipulation of water rights for farmers and ranchers, yeah, that needs to change. I'm not going to support it. And as governor, that falls under my direct oversight and supervision. And so I will take executive action to ensure that we're not weaponizing ecology, and we're going to respect the water rights of our farmers and our ranchers. And yes, it's natural and they should have that access. But it's the interpretation of how they're using their lands to utilize those waters. And I'm not a rancher or a farmer, but I talk to ranchers and farmers, so I'm situationally aware of what's needed. I need to educate myself in things I don't know. Yes, I know business. Yes, I know accounting. Yes, I know ledgering. Yes, I know how we're being taxed and overtaxed and told, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, I know construction from grubbing a lot to blower door tests. Yes, I understand that. Accounting. Yes. Procurement, acquisition, capital projects. Yes. Border security, port security. Yes. Law enforcement, believe it or not. Yes. So, but ranching, no. And so I learned. Caged eggs, I didn't. I'm learning more and more every day. So, Jerry, no, I've got you. We will support them because our growers, our farmers, it's food security. It's national security because it's our food security. And it's our number 2 industry in Washington State, second to aerospace. So I will protect and preserve and support and incentivize. And we can talk about the H-2 program. I mean, the wage increase for labor, and people aren't talking about this, but we're losing our migrant worker population in Washington State. That no one's talking about that. And so there's a threat to our food security and our growers. Our growers know this, but it's not being talked about. But I talk to them, so I learn, and I know, and it is true. Robert, my question for Mr. Bird is, what will you do to reverse 1589 and stop the efforts of the natural gas ban? So right now we have Chairman Walsh, the Washington State Republican Party, but as Representative Walsh, they're leading initiatives right now to reverse this. And if they don't, well, then I will champion it, and we'll make sure we get it done, because it's crazy. Natural gas burns clean. And we already know that last year when we had that strain on our electrical grid, because our electrical grid is insufficient to support the current strain on it. And so imagine if we load up with EV electric vehicles, and we go through with this crazy ban. And again, now we're talking about the electric ferries, right? 3 times the amount of marine diesel, which doesn't produce the carbon like the old vessels of the past. But no, we're bringing it back. We're going to reverse that. And they put that emergency clause on, so you can't do a resolution, but you can't do an initiative. So that's what they're doing. And we're going to hope it passes. They don't have a lot of time to get it on the books, but we'll see. We'll see how they do. It's in the works. So I'm tracking it. So don't worry, Robert. We're tracking it. I don't support it. We're going to reverse it because we need to. And the citizens in Puget Sound will support it, because this ban is not a full ban. It's an incentivization for Puget Sound Energy to move towards not providing it. And what they're doing is they're already raising the rates of electricity, which many of the people on the west side who typically vote which way? Yes. So when they're seeing that, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be a continuing shift, which we're already seeing this way. So that's why it's about this. Having the right platform, the right message with the right messenger to deliver it to the right communities. That's what it's all about. You don't have to compromise American values and put your Democrat coat on and say, oh, look at me, I'm like you, so vote for me. No, you don't. I know I won't. Yeah, they tried to buy. Remember, you guys know the deal. They tried to buy me. We had a couple people trying to broker a deal. We talked about one of them earlier. We'll see how that plays out. And we'll do another one here, and then we'll go over here. What we got here, Eileen, when you're elected, bless you, Eileen, thank you. Will you rescind Inslee's executive order 2024, eliminate Washington State Office of Equity, especially, so that Washington State taxpayers are not funding? Yes, and I'm also going to, by through executive order, I've already said this, we're not going to be a sanctuary state. But there's more to that. And that's another initiative that's in the works right now. It's more than just declaring that you're not going to be a sanctuary state, which is an executive order, true, an executive action. But the bite is really in cooperating with ICE. And so when you have these illegal immigrants who are actually committing crimes, well, then we need to be able to cooperate with federal agencies. And that is a law that you can't just say no to. I'm bound by the Constitution under Article 3. I want to say Section 6, but I don't want to cite that because I'm not 100%, but there's a good chance that I'm on point. And then when we have these offices that don't produce anything. So I'll stop there. I'll move over here and we'll come back if we have time. I said this last podcast, Republicans and conservatives are afraid to talk about race, except for the elitists who attack me every day. And we talked about a couple of them earlier. And they try to accuse me of playing the race card. So here, imagine this plantation that it's not just the progressives that have this progressive plantation. It's the elitists on both sides. And so when you get someone like me, right, who was nominated by 72%, and then you have the Democrat Party, and again, I'm not calling names, it's what they are, it's who they are, it's how they identify. Oh, I said that, didn't I? And they criticize the Republican Party for nominating and endorsing me, the first Black American in Washington state history, but yet they'll criticize the Republican Party for doing that, and they'll criticize the congregation. Excuse me, it was kind of a congregation as a minute because we got fired up, didn't we? We were passionate. Ha! And there was I can say some things, but they'll say, boy, there sure was a lot of diversity, lack thereof, in that room. But you know what? Is it Shasti? I'm not trying to attack you. I think your name's cute. But the chair of the Democrat Party, there's a lot of not nice things that she said about our party. And I don't say mean things because a lot of my family are Democrats. But when you criticize what the delegates, their demographic looked like, isn't that racist? But then it wasn't your party that nominated and endorsed the first Black American to the office of governor. So where were you? And you talk about equity, your equity division or diversity. Where were you? But those grassroots, those everyday grassroots folks from 39 counties representing thousands of precincts, they showed up and they nominated and endorsed our campaign, not based on quota or public appearance, based on merit. Because I showed up. I had been out there showing up in all communities across the state. I earned it. Merit. That's the American way. So hold your criticism from the left, because the conservatives apparently are leading the way back to the civil rights movement. Did we do that? Did I say that? And so these elitists from the left and from the right, so both of them, and especially on the right, Semi Bird can't talk about race because now he's playing the race card. What do you guys say about that? Should we not talk about it? Remember I said Black American, White American, Asian American, Hispanic American, we're all Americans. Don't be colorblind. I want you to see me. People want you to see them. Celebrate the beauty of America, which is all cultures. Don't be afraid to talk about the diversity of our nation. We're the greatest nation on the planet. That melting pot, e pluribus unum, out of the many one. Where do you think that came from, y'all? Where do you think that came from? All that diversity into one American. It's a beautiful thing. We are a beautiful culture. We are a beautiful country. And we should be proud of ourselves, just like all those amazing delegates should be proud of themselves. And not because of this guy, because of what they did. They showed up. And we showed up too. And thank you. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, my dear. I'm backing up here. I'm going to see what we got going on here and over on the left. And I appreciate you guys very much. Stealing from elementary education. And again, I'm not about using talking points, you guys, because you have to understand, I am, I thought I was a moderate before I started running for governor until I realized what a moderate was. I'm a common sense person. I love everyone. I don't prejudice against anyone. I'm not a fan of name calling. So you don't see me doing it because there's no value in it. I talk about the real things is what I try to do. And that's really what's real is America. What's real is taking back our state, just like Tracy said. That's what's real. And uniting. And when I talk about unity, it's not uniting within the Republican Party, because you hear this a lot. Be very weary of these fear mongers who talk about, oh, Bob Ferguson is the boogeyman. Are you kidding me? Are you selling fear? Are you playing us for cowards? We're not sunshine patriots. I mean, if you want to sit in the mirror and say that all day long, you can, elitist. But the rest of us, we're winter soldiers. You saw that in Spokane. So y'all sit back in your bedrooms, stay on social media, call names, hide in your basements. The rest of us, we're out in the streets, knocking on doors, waving signs. We're active. We've woken up, right? It's a new woke. It's a red, white, and blue woke. And no, you're not buying elections anymore. Donor class, political class, elitist. We see right through you. So no, you're not playing anyone anymore. It's done. It's done. It's back to the people. That's where we're going. And folks, wake up. Don't, I was going to say, don't trust anybody, but I really mean that. Just keep an eye out. Let's see here. Steve, veteran, I'm with you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, let's see what else we got going on here. Bum, bum, bum. Looking. Yeah, no, there's trolls out there. That's for sure. Let's see here. Okay, I'm just looking for a question, because if you guys put question in there, I'll see it. If we don't, I'll bounce back to these questions. I know we're running out of time. I'm going to stay over because we had technical difficulties, and I owe you guys. We're not going to do a 2-hour show like last week. Steve W. is talking about PTSD. Yeah, Steve, it is very serious, and we should support our veterans. 100%. Yes, we should. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. That's okay. I don't know how Steve meant it, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see here. All right. Okay, I've scrolled up. I'm not sure if I missed anybody. Mr. Gunther, thank you very much, sir. And so, now that I see Mr. Gunther's name here, John ran for Congress, and he signed a pledge. So a lot of us showed up to the convention. We signed a pledge saying that if the other person won the vote or the nomination of the delegates, that we were going to step aside. He honored his pledge, I believe. John, correct me if I'm wrong. Again, some of us signed that pledge and showed up. Others signed the pledge and didn't show up. Some didn't sign the pledge and didn't show up. So just know the truth and understand the facts. It's important. And when you see hate and when you see name calling, folks, don't reciprocate. I got to say that again. And I'm just going to scroll up just to see if I see any questions, and I don't see any. and we're going to go down and, okay. Boom, boom, boom. And someone comment in the tribes. We can talk about that. All right. I'll bounce back to the bottom. But just keep in mind, there's a mindset that we're breaking in Washington State right now where, again, big money, big branding, a political class, they're used to choosing the candidate. And what we're doing, what we did in Spokane was unheard of. We did it together. And it's the same reason why we're going to win the election. They underestimated us. You can't buy us. You can't bully us. It's about quality. It's having again, I told you the message. It's having the resume to do the job. And again, as it turns out, having someone who's fallen down in life and gotten back up, as it turns out, the rest of us who aren't perfect actually want someone, right, who's gotten dirty, want someone who's lived life, right, who's maybe has a few bumps and bruises along the way, who knows what it's like to find themselves under financial despair, but got back up and made something of their life, right? That journey of continuous improvement. Turns out there's citizens out there who, like me, have made mistakes in life and are like, amen, brother, get out there and preach it because I'm right there with you. And guess what? Based on my last week's interview and being out there in those communities, they're seeing it and they're talking about it. And that is the news I wanted to share with you. We've got people out there that are canvassing for us, that are knocking on doors of people who have never voted for Republicans at all. So you could talk about this made-up crossover vote, or you can actually get people who have been never voted for a Republican and have never voted who are going to vote for us. And you have to ask yourself, and I'm going to probably get ready to wrap up on this concept. Think about those delegates. Again, 39 counties. They represent 39 counties all over the state. And they were voted in to be a delegate. And many of them disclosed who they supported before they were sent to Spokane. And they represent all of those precincts. And in those precincts, these are all foot soldiers. This is our ground game already in play. Not to mention the ground game that we are already putting together. That is right there in play. 72% of the base. Now, here's my question for just the common sense, fair-minded, objective people. Can a Republican candidate in Washington State win a primary without the Republican base? That's the question. Can a Republican candidate in Washington State win the primary without the Republican base? What is your answer? I would say no. I would say no. So if 72% of the delegates who represents all those counties and all those precincts and all those people, well, you can do the math and you can do the common sense. That is the greatest poll that you can look at. And when you see Echelon Insights poll, not knocking the company. So Echelon Insights, I mean, I appreciate you guys got to make a living too. But look who paid for the poll. Polls that are bought and paid for. The last one was from the guy who has the PAC, who created the website to attack me. It's literally attack Simi, Simi's evil, Bird's bad. Ruin him, ruin his life, attack him, his family, everything. Lay waste to that guy, get him out of the way, burn him alive, get him out of the way, lynch him, get whatever. That's right, I said the L word again, just like Judge Thomas said. Public lynching, that's exactly what it is, character assassination. But it's not working. Just like it didn't work at the presidential level at all. It backed up, turned out around the other way. So that's the guy who paid for that poll. And then the other candidate guy, he's the one who bought the poll that the same Echelon Insights poll the first time. So when you buy a poll and you control the sample group, it's like, heck, you poll my family, there's a good chance that they're going to vote for me. I'm just saying, right? You poll the 72% who voted for me in Spokane, I'm probably going to do good in that poll if you use them as a sample group. That's the thing with polling. But if you look at those straw polls, or the one that was done by, I think it was Big Mike, and I kind of like that. Boy, he said something cool. And I don't get any love from anyone on KVI. And I'm not knocking KVI. I'm not knocking them. Like I said, I really like Ari. I mean, he seems like a super nice guy. I really did. And I told him that. And there's something about the guy I just like. Whether he slams me or not, I just like the guy. But anyway, this Big Mike gentleman, I haven't met him yet. But oh my gosh, he did a poll. And it's like, well, maybe if Dave Riker becomes governor, maybe we run Semi Bird as lieutenant governor. That was the whole buyout broker thing that some folks tried to do. Didn't work out because we said no to that. But if we do that, then we set Semi up to be governor the next round. Again, the same thing those folks who tried to do the broker buyout thing for me didn't work out. I'm saying that for a reason. In that poll, almost 70% of those people said no. Do you see a pattern? 72% spoke hands, almost 70% said no. They keep trying the same messaging. And by the way, Big Mike was cool. What I really love about what Big Mike said is, again, I don't know the gentleman, but he says, and he was just like Big Mike in this thing I read. He says, nobody controls me. No one pulls my strings. And I'm like, you preach it, brother. I don't know him again, but I'm going to go from what I read. And I love that message. I love that message. He's like, you aren't, no one runs this. Big Mike runs this. And I thought that was cool. And I'm adding my own words, but yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. So guys, and someone posted, Barab said 37% undecided even in their poll. And if you look at the progressive poll, again, it says it all there in the word. So I'm not here to challenge the polls, but I'm here to tell you guys, when you buy a poll, consider it. I go to the people's poll. Those straw polls, people who vote, that's what. But polling, my goodness, 2016 election looked a whole lot different than when it started, didn't it? And they said, Hillary Clinton's got that sewn up in the bag. It was the same thing with that chairman from the West Side, right? When he said, Dave Riker doesn't need to debate Semi Bird. He's got the convention locked up. And then that chairman said, oh, that convention is worthless. You see how two different, it's like, oh my gosh. And it's the same person who had the debate set up, but then the debate wasn't set up. It's all this hypocrisy, and it's just not calling names, but it's true. It's we got to stop this, and we got to get behind one candidate. That was the whole reason for the convention. So I'm looking over here. No questions. I'm going to answer a couple here, and then I'm going to bounce. Okay. We did Eileen. So Diana, pretty name. What about the Washington State Constitution on abortion, 9.02.100, changed into outlawing abortion in Washington State altogether? So I'm not sure what the question is. So what I will say, Diana, is the law, as I said, the Constitution. Guys, you have to understand with Semi Bird. So I've answered this many times, and I'll do it again because I lean into this. I don't walk away or waffle. Life begins at conception. I mean, it's science. So it's not my opinion. It's science. It's science. And it ends, for me, I think that's also science, at natural death, however that comes about. That's not just my belief. I think that's just simply science. But there's a law, which I believe is 9.02.100. It's our law in Washington State, and I've read it many times. And if you look at it, really, it speaks to, well, if it's being enforced, well, no, it's a rare chance that anybody actually qualifies for that. So my point would be, why are we not talking about bringing more programs that supports adoption, making that easier, streamlining that, making that more affordable, right? So that children have families who want them and can, right? But those young women who find themselves in those difficult situations, instead of vilifying them, let's ensure they have that prenatal care so they can hear that heartbeat. Let's bring those programs. And in those minority communities, because statistically, it is black women who have more abortions than any other ethnicity. Let's start bringing programs in to prevent this from happening. Those are things we should be talking about instead of this war on I'm pro this and I'm anti that and I'm this. We've got a law until the laws change. So I stay within my lane because, again, the Constitution is the foundation of my governance. Whether I agree with the Constitution or the law or not, I swore an oath to support and to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that oath, for me, is a permanent oath. And certainly as a governor, when I raise that hand, that's it. And so under Article 3, it swears me in to enforce the rule of law, which again takes me back up. You're on a bridge protesting, or you're in campus protesting outside of the law of free speech and lawful gathering. You're getting arrested. You're going to jail. We're not going to sit there and play dilly-dally with you. We're not going to sit there on these lines and just hold where people are running at law enforcement. You do that, you touch a police officer or say that again, you're going to jail, and you're going to regret that. You're making a bad decision, and you will regret that. And then anybody else after you will understand, I will not be doing that for spring break. So, oh my goodness, time is going, and I need to go, and I don't want to go, but I actually am going to go chair a meeting tonight. And so I have my other duties as assigned. But people ask all the time, you guys, as we get ready to bounce, what can we do to support you? What can we do? We need your volunteering. We really do. So go to Bird for Governor and volunteer. We had amazing, okay, someone popped in. Patricia asked a question the last second. Patricia, because you were so kind and you said, thank you, I'm going to answer this. Simi, do you support the GOP candidate, Donald J. Trump? Hope so. And so, Patricia, I'm going to tell you, like I've told everybody else, including the Seattle Times editorial board, I voted for President Trump in the primary. I will be voting for President Trump in the general election. That is just the fact of the matter. Border security, energy independence, supporting quality of education, economic prosperity. We need to bring all that back again. I'm going to bring all that back again. And now I will say also, I'm focused on Washington State. It's not a matter of what I do in support of, presidential elections. I'm focused on supporting our citizens here in Washington State. But I'm not going to back away from the question. I'm going to answer the question. The highest way you can support President Trump is to vote for him if you, right? And so there it is. I think I answered your question very directly. And carbon tax, no. Sorry, Eagle. So cap and trade, never would have voted for cap and trade, and be very wary of anybody that ever voted for cap and trade. That's climate tax, no. But look at you guys popping up questions now that you know I got to go. I love it. And that's Carpe Diem, seize the day, but seize the opportunity. No, it must be repealed. And we have an initiative. So we have these initiatives on the ballot. We're going to be talking a lot about that, getting rid of capital gains tax, getting rid of the Climate Commitment Act, which is the cap and trade, getting rid of the CARES Act is basically defunding the CARES. Well, it's not defunding. It's giving you the chance to opt out of the CARES Act, which is that long-term care, which gives you no long-term care. So we as a campaign are really going to get behind those three initiatives and make sure that those things get voted in. Because that's really good for all of us, and so much more, you guys, so much more. And so I hope I answered your questions. And so now I'm going to get back to tell you guys, I need you to go to birdforgovernor.com. We were on Twitter Space the other night, and boy, it was amazing. I had my friends were leading it with this amazing lady named Phenom, and I don't even know where she was from, but she was just a wonderful human being, as were my friends John and Sean. And even my friend Dawn, who has her space as well, invited me. And it was powerful. We raised over $1,500 on that space. I want to say $1,500. Maybe it was $1,200, but you know what? It was $1,500 in my heart, but we raised money there. Guys, that money is good money, and that's buying, helps us to buy a pallet of signs. I mean, a half pallet or a quarter pallet. But today we had signs delivered to our house. In several locations because of an amazing man, Kelly from Enumclaw, who's out there volunteering his time. Kelly was out there delivering signs all over the place. That beautiful man. I mean, are you guys getting this? This is, and don't get me started on my team. Don't even get me started on them because I usually cry like a baby every time I talk about them. My campaign manager, and this goes back to the beginning of my campaign. The staff, even at the beginning of my campaign, beautiful people who invested themselves and their time into our mission and our message, and all the way to today, the amazing people that I've surrounded myself with, or what God has given me, who surrounded me with them. We can do this. We know it, and we proved it in Spokane, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it in the primary. And I think the general is going to be easier than the primary. You guys, we didn't lead you astray in the convention. We didn't lead you astray there. So have faith. Have faith. Donate. If you can give $100 right now, give $100. If you can give $50, give it now. Go to birdforgovernor.com, birdforgovernor.com. Click that button, donate. That money's going, we're not paying all these salaries. So your money's going to sign, it's going to swag, that is, right? We're using that to get me all over the state. We're in the inner city and the west side. So everybody says, you got to get in the west side, Sam. I'm on the west side every single week. Most of my days are on the west side. Most of my days. And by the way, we're going to be in Spokane on Sunday the 5th. Folks, we're going to be in Spokane, Washington on Sunday the 5th. You guys, 2 o'clock. You got to check it out. Go to our website, birdforgovernor.com, donate, go to events, check us out. We're going to be in Spokane. Gosh, we're going to be in Port Townsend. We're going to be in Port Townsend on Saturday. You see what's going on? Oh, my Lord. We're going to be in Port Townsend all day, I believe, on Saturday. And they're going to be on the other side of the state on Sunday. That's right. How do we do it? An amazing team and with your support. That's where those donations go. Gas money and just running the wheels and tires off my car. I know I'm going to be going through a second set of my brand new car. 70,000 miles. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. Sign locations, 4x8 signs on private property facing a highway or major thoroughfare. If you know a location, send us an email. Send us an email, info@birdforgovernor.com, info@birdforgovernor.com. Send us an email. You've got a location. Send us your contact information. We'll reach out. We'll get a sign out there. That's going to attract a lot of people. We'll get it up. We'll get that sign put up there. What else? Money, donation, volunteers, birdforgovernor.com. Go to volunteers tab. A lot, you guys. There's a lot happening. Clark County, I'm going to be in Clark County, I think Friday. Someone told me I'm going to be in Clark County and Vancouver on Friday. So, Rob, I go to events. I don't even know where I'm going to be. I know tonight I'm supposed to be someplace in 10 minutes. So, what is tonight? Thursday. So tomorrow, I'm leaving. Yes. I think I'm going to be in Clark County in the morning. Then I'm going to be Port Townsend in the afternoon. Guys, I'm everywhere. I have an amazing staff. They just point and say go. And that's how we do. But you know what? Together we're doing this. And keep in mind this. It's not just Republican Party gatherings that we go to. It's communities. Because when you have a message that is common sense, and we're saying, I don't care whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or a Martian. It doesn't matter. If you want to save this state, you want better schools for your kids, you want lower taxes, you want affordable housing, you really want that, then we've got it. We're not running for an office to hold down for any political party and for those big donors to pull strings. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm applying for a job. You're my future employers, and I'm going to work. That's the difference. And I have the knowledge, skills, abilities, and experience, performance improvement. That's what I do. We're going to improve the performance of our government in Washington so we can cut taxes and start giving that money back to you. Tax relief. So we can get rid of these tolls, which are ridiculous. We can do this. Have faith. I know I'm getting passionate about this, but oh my goodness, you guys, just have faith. This mindset, Bob the boogeyman, knock that off. And if anybody tells you anybody but Bob, oh my Lord, you see what they're doing? Are they playing us for fools? Anybody but Bob. Be very scared of Bob. So vote for that guy because he's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of name brand recognition. Well, what did that money and name brand recognition do for him in Spokane? Why didn't he blow our doors off with the delegates? Why didn't he blow our doors off in King County? Why did we get endorsed by Snohomish County twice? Twice they tried to change that, revote, and it didn't work. So guys, have faith. We're going to do this thing. We're going to save our state, and we're going to unite. And forget this, unite the party. We're going to unite our state. We're going to unite our state. And we're going to get back to, instead of being played by these establishment elites who have their own agenda, who are afraid to talk about race, we're going to really bring back, we're America. We're Americans, and we don't care what your color is. We see you. I see your color, and I love you. I see that you choose a different way to live your life, and you be happy. You be you, and I love you. We're Americans, and we love one another, one nation under God, independent. And we're bringing liberty and justice for all, and that's why people are going to vote for birdforgovernor.com. Ha, guys, I just did it again, didn't I? All right, guys, I'm out. I got to go chair a meeting. Thank you. God bless you all.